Boy, how about that dark winter, huh? I was pretty hyped for old Joe Biden's speech today. After I saw that statement over the weekend where the White House was like, hey, to everyone who's been vaccinated, you know what? We're going to get through this. You've done the right thing. We're not going to let Omicron, hurt you and your future and make your life difficult at all. Don't worry. But to the unvaccinated, you face a winter of death and destruction, and you're gonna die, and your family's gonna die, and the hospitals will be overrun. And just an FYI, in case you hear this hospitals will be overrun thing, that was somewhat a reasonable concern in March of 2020 when we didn't know how many people this would be putting in the hospital, and when we thought this was going to be a very, very bad disease and all this, and we didn't know how many, what capacity would need to be used in the hospitals or whatever, and they were having to build all these tents outside in case the hospitals were overrun so they could be treating people and expand all the ICU beds and whatnot. But that was 2 years ago, almost. That was 7 quarters ago. We're in this late December of 2021. We're almost into 2022. It's not March of 2020 anymore. And guess what's happened in the interim? Have hospitals, been ramping up and trying to expand as fast as possible and add all these ICU beds for all of these, because of this terrible pandemic that's just overrun our hospitals? No. In fact, I think on net balance, hospitals in America have reduced the number of ICU beds, even though our population, I think, is, by all counts, higher today than it was in March of 2020. There are more people in the country now. We have less ICU beds, or about the same. We have not rapidly expanded our ICU beds to, because of all these sick people. And so don't let anybody give you that crap. They've had 2 years to expand the hospitals if they wanted to. And they tried to expand them at first, and they found out, at least according to the medical experts that we're all supposed to believe, the people who lead these hospitals, who own them, who run them, who work in them, we didn't need so many ICU beds, so they got rid of them. They threw them in the trash. They said, ICU? Who needs you? And so it's a bunch of nonsense about the ICU beds. And I try not to talk about the Wu flu too much because I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. I talked about it very early on when nobody else was, and I thought it was important then. A lot of people talk about it now, so I feel less compelled to talk about it, especially since, it's something that can so easily get you kicked off. But I have to say, I feel pretty confident so far, considering all these experts who have been going on TV talking about Omicron, that, this is a good development. We've seen, the case-demic has exploded. People are very concerned. Oh my gosh, look at all these cases. Yet, the mythical overrun hospitals have yet to materialize. And they always say, oh, wait 2 weeks. Wait 2 weeks. It's been a few weeks since this Omicron thing has happened. I think we would know from the South Africans if their hospitals were being overrun. We've heard quite the opposite. That there's very few people with the scary Omicron variant, which we're told, oh my gosh, this is so bad because it's displaced the Delta variant. It's everywhere. Oh my gosh, it's the dominant variant, and yet it's putting hardly anybody in the ICU in South Africa. A country which, should be, we would think, a lot less healthy than us here in the United States. Oh my gosh, those South Africans are so backwards. They live in, they live in corrugated steel huts. I mean, the textbook definition of shantytown. You look in there, it's a picture of your average suburb in South Africa. So we should be doing much better than these folks, right? And so if this is no big deal for them, we should be in the clear. We should be happy about this, right? This is good news. But we can't have good news, because good news does not give politicians more power. Good news does not give them more excuses to micromanage your life. Good news does not equal a dark winter. And so, maybe these are just anecdotes, so we shouldn't take it seriously, but look at the number of public figures, of blue checks on Twitter, who have all been diagnosed with the scary Omicron variant just these past few days, since Friday. Call me crazy, but I think considering that the data shows that this is spreading much more widely than the previous variants by an order of magnitude, And the fact that we are seeing anecdotally all of these famous people, more, get, announced in short succession, hey, I got it, hey, I got it, hey, I got it. It seems like everybody's getting it right now. You notice that? Kind of like 5 people. I mean, we got Senator Karen, Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren. We got Senator Cory Booker. We got what's his name? Larry Hogan. We got Jim Send in the Tanks Kramer. All of these folks, I believe, triple vaccinated. They did their part. They got their booster. Yet they all got it anyway. And other people, I can't remember. There were so many folks who came, but those are the 4 that stuck in my mind. And we're seeing all these charts of cases, the case-demic, of how it's dwarfed all of the waves, all the previous waves in the past. And yet, what symptoms are we being told to look for? Runny nose, congestion, sore throat, cough, mild cough. It's the symptoms of the common cold. They're saying, hey, you folks, you might think you have a cold, but guess what? It might be the Wu flu. So watch out. It's even more scary now because the symptoms look just like a cold. You feel like you just have a cold, but you actually have the very scary Wu flu. So you don't even know it. That's we're supposed to be scared of that? No, this is great news. It means that the virus is becoming much, much less severe. Okay, let's say that quietly. Maybe the YouTube algorithm won't pick up on my words. But that seems to be what we're being told by the people who are actually dealing with it. First, the South African doctors first and foremost. And so, it kind of seems like if this is spreading as rapidly as we think, and this is displacing the previous variants, which, could cause pretty severe disease and kill a lot of people, killed, 800,000 people? I don't know if that's in America, right? Or is that in the world? No, I think that's in America, 800,000 people. So it's not nothing. It's definitely seemed to be like a nasty virus. But if it's spreading this quickly, and we're not seeing a requisite number of people dying, we're not really seeing a whole lot of death or hospitalization from this, new variant at all. Well, if it displaces the old ones that cause all those terrible events like death and hospitalization, well, that's a good thing, and that means this is over. And if that's the case, you should expect that the fear-mongering is going to get ramped up to 11 before it comes back down. They're going to have to fear-monger harder because the data is not going to support being afraid, and so they're going to have to work that much harder to convince people to be afraid and to, give up their freedoms and to, recoil back into their shells. But after a little while, that's not going to work. I think that we're going to have a blow-off top in virus hysteria. And then just as suddenly as it came, it's going to go away. I mean, they just can't do this anymore if this evolves and mutates into a not very serious disease. And, basic evolutionary biology is that, diseases or viruses become more successful and more transmissible as they become less deadly because, they want to infect the host. They don't want to kill the host because then the virus dies with the host. The virus wants to stick around and linger and spread to as many people as possible. So if you look at that, this kind of seems like the Omicron variant is a more successful variant. And so that's why it's going to outcompete the older ones that killed more people. It's the same thing we heard about the Delta variant, why it beat out the Alpha, because it was, somewhat less deadly and more transmissible. Well, this one seems to be a hell of a lot more transmissible and a hell of a lot less deadly. And so, I have to say, when I tuned into Biden's big speech today, I was looking for some pretty good, popcorn fear-mongering. I was hoping he would come out and have, a blockbuster speech, but I guess, I expected too much. I should know that Uncle Joe doesn't have it in him anymore. He's not a great speaker. He's not inspiring, and he wasn't very scary. It's just kind of pathetic to see him trying to say, well, people, they got to wear their masks, if they're vaccinated. And if you're not vaccinated, oh my gosh, you're a bad boy. You got to go take your shots just because, it's going to be much better off if you took your vaccine, you're going to be good. You're not going to get it very bad. But oh boy, if you're unvaccinated, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want to be you. No details, no data, no science, just insults. And that's not very persuasive. They're trying to come out in front and really whip up, hysteria over this. And the more data we get, the less justified the hysteria becomes, the more ridiculous it becomes. Oh, and about stonks. I know, I said yesterday lots of bad things about the stock market, and I'm not talking about it today. I'm not doing that because the stock market is up today. I said yesterday, okay, it closed on near the highs of the day. It's good for it in the short term. Okay, yeah, technical. It's a technical bullish. It bounced off support. It's good for them. For the bulls in the short term. But that does not change the fact that the long thesis has been shattered. Okay? So it's like the difference between climate and weather. The fact that we have a hurricane doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, we've got climate chaos and the fossil fuels and the coal and the tornadoes are going to get bigger. That's not what one hurricane proves. And so the fact that we were able to get a rally in the stock market the day after I say things are not looking good, for over the next month or 2 months, or really at all until Powell flip-flops, there's no good future for the stock market. It does not change that. So I'm not, I just wanted to address that because, today was a particularly, euphoric day. As Zero Hedge put it, stocks are now higher than they were before Joe Manchin announced that he was nuking BBB, Build Back Better. That's not going to happen, okay? That's losing stimulus, that's not a good thing for the stock market. And I thought it was hilarious. Old Uncle Joe today, he was so proud of that. He came out and he said, Goldman Sachs, they had to slash their GDP forecast because we were not passing Build Back Better. Goldman Sachs says we're in big trouble. Oh, well, if Goldman Sachs says so, leaving aside their forecasting record, I don't think that sells well with average Americans that Joe Biden is taking the side of Goldman Sachs against Joe Manchin. Now, who knows? The wizards of CNBC are trying to spin today's rally as, Omicron's not very bad, which is true. They are citing something that is correct. Omicron's not very bad. Or at least that seems to be the case. I don't want to say anything for a fact, but that seems to be where we're going. And so if it turns out in the future that, hey, the virus stuff is going away, and this is no longer a big deal, maybe that will be something that the market can rally off of, but I don't see how that overcomes a lack of stimulus from the Fed and from Congress. Virus optimism, just like remember trade deal optimism when we always used to rally on trade talk optimism, which never came. Of course, it was just the optimism that they were rallying on. There was never any trade deal between the U.S. and China. I don't know. I think Omicron optimism is not going to be enough to overcome the albatross of Jerome Powell and Joe Manchin. Those two were going to have to flip-flop. It's only a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And in between now and when, stocks are going to have to crash somewhere between 10 and 20%. As far as I'm concerned, that's baked into the cake. Not going to avoid that, unless for some reason Powell or Manchin decide to flip-flop before then. So that's that. And with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.